What positives have you noted in the social dialogue movement in Zimbabwe? A minute or so. Thank you so much.
I think the positives, we talked about them. The labor law reform processes, where we had the Labor Act, we had the National Productivity Institute Bill, Occupational Health and Safety Bill. We have the policy which came from the ZOSC on occupational health and safety. And then the other positive came when we were faced with the pandemic. We sat down as tripartite social partners and we came up with a stimulus package that was meant to benefit companies in distress. We also managed to come up with the safety nets, the cash grants, although maybe some did not take them up because of the low amounts. Those were some of the positives that came from this social dialogue engagement. And I think the other positives that I can also observe from this social dialogue is the moving together now in terms of trying to come up with one shared vision, having a common approach to say that yes, we can differ because we have a competing interest, but let's try to do so in a respectful manner. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have been very precise. I will not summarize what you have said. Let's hear from organized labor. What positives have you noted in the social dialogue movement in Zimbabwe? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe put it in a different way. What are the positives noted as a result of social dialogue mechanism in place in Zimbabwe? You are correct that partly the question was responded to when we dealt with the first question. But let me add and say the fact that we do have legal platforms, that we are able to engage formally in various levels, at the sector level, at the enterprise level, enter into agreements that are binding parties. Those are positive things because before we had the legislation that is in place at the moment, the majority are aware that we used to have what they called the Servants and Audience Act, where workers were not deemed as workers, but as servants. There was no platform where workers will be able to engage their employers. So the employers will be able to decide or determine conditions of employment on their own without consulting the workers. So the fact that the current legislation provides for these platforms, to us, that's a positive. But there are collective bargaining agreements. At the moment, if one goes to various sectors, you'll find that workers are enjoying probably housing allowance, transport allowance, funeral benefits. There are many benefits that workers then are deriving from this engagement that they always have with their employers. I think at the moment at the national level, the platform that we have with TNF, I think it lessens tensions. To some of us, that's a positive. There are some who might think that social dialogue has actually tied unions to the negotiating table and are becoming useless. Because without the platform, the only viable engagement is the streets. So instead of speaking through demonstrations, processions, we are able to sit around the table and engage on issues. So to us, that's a positive. And as alluded to by the employer, when the country was just like everyone else hit by COVID-19, we discussed on how do we engage this disruption by COVID-19, how best would be. Are we able to save jobs? Try to sustain the situation that was taking place, where workers were complaining about we don't have adequate transportation. Zupco is not available in the streets, so they are having challenges to go to work, report for duty, go back to their homes. Various checkpoints by our security forces, hampering movement of people. These were things that we were able to discuss. What are the employers supposed to be doing in terms of testing workers that are coming to work as frontline workers? Those were things that we were able to use the social dialogue to put on the table. So to us, I think these are noted things that we would want to build on, and we want to see more and more. We don't want to tick the number of meetings. Let me repeat. We don't want to tick the number of meetings that we have, because that's a setback that we have seen over the years. That if you see a government report sometime to ILO supervisory mechanism, it's about on this date we met the employers and employees, on this date we met. But what came out from these meetings? So to us is what comes from the conversation rather than how many meetings do we have. Thank you.
Yes, Comrade Shamu.
Just adding on, I think the overall on the positives, because we have to look at it now, in the future. The social dialogue is going to provide an overarching, guaranteed safety net on the observance of law, starting from shop floor, NECs, and up to the national level. Because when certain things happens, when people cannot comprehend or settle them at those floors or at those levels, it can be put to the TNF, where the powers that be can converge, and will always converge, interrogate, and give a solution. So this is a very positive thing that we are seeing as we go in the analog of the social dialogue in Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much. Straightforward. Let's hear the perspective of government.
Thank you. I'll be very, very brief. I think when we look at the positives, number one, the legislative framework is there, and we continue to develop it. In as far as the national architecture is concerned, we are collectively developing standard operating procedures. And we are all saying we are behind time. Can this be concluded? Moves towards the independent secretariat, I think the rules are already in motion. Issues raised by ILO, which may not have satisfied the needs of particularly the workers, are being attended to. ILO has requested to send a directive conduct mission to Zimbabwe, and as government we stand ready to receive them. And timelines have already been set, all in an endeavor to make sure that the processes of TNF are functional. Principals are talking. For the first time in many years, our minister was at the annual general meeting. Was it annual congress of the ZCTU? Again, a very positive move. Because in the past when it happened, I was watching my subordinate in Gorima on TV the other time. And we had said, no, we are no longer going to send officials to such commemorations. It was so tense, just that we can confirm. But this time around, there was respect for the minister, like you were saying, that Mukwehwa was also saying. So the principals are talking, and I'm also happy with the level of representation by business here. I think business is being represented at the highest level. I can't confirm on the government side, but the MPs are here, a sign that they are behind these processes. I'm also happy with the representation from Labour, and as you can see, maybe the Minister of Health, they are not here because of the COVID cases that are increasing. But there is will on the part of everyone involved. We have just received copies of the Decent Way Country program for our comment. Again, a very good positive for our processes. And capacity is there. If you listen to the discussions here, we are not short of capacity. We know where we want to go. And we also have willing partners with the ILO. My friend Oplong was on leave, but he has just joined us. And I don't know how many times I've talked to ILO on the importance of making sure the wheels of the TNF are moving. And he has even convened the meetings for us to discuss and resolve. So we are not short of partners who are willing to support the processes. IOM is also coming on board on the side of labor migration issues. Non-interference, we respect what the workers do. At times when they submit nominations for appointment either to the NASA board or any of our structures, the retrenchment committee, we do not send back these names preferring people who are pro-government. We respect what we get from Labour. And above all, Mr. Facilitator, we are all committed to see this process through. I've said it myself, when we come to the stage where the TNF is fully functional, I don't mind moving to another ministry because to me this is a very key milestone, and we will make every effort to ensure that we succeed in this regard.
Thank you, Permanent Secretary. I think there is a general sentiment that there are boxes that have been ticked. There's a journey that has been traveled. And I think for that, let's all celebrate that. Let's clap hands for ourselves. We